The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network.
Rising High with Dr. Ware. Welcome to the show, where we inspire you to rise high, achieve your dreams, and go beyond. I'll share with you my journey and interview other dream hustlers to find out just what goes into living your dreams. Tune in each and every Sunday from 3:30 to 4 p.m. on the WBGR Health and Wellness Network. I'm your host, Dr. Ware, author of the new children's audiobook, Kia and the Magical Spikes. Catch me on my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram handle at Rising High Show.
And welcome. Thank you for joining us here today at Rising High with Dr. Ware. Well, hold on to your seats today because the doctor is in the house.
Yes, hold on.
Buckle your seatbelts. Thank you for being here. We have Dr. Ebony Cornish in studio, here to address all of our health concerns and keeping us healthy. There's nothing to be concerned about. Have no fear. Dr. Ebony is here. So, Dr. Cornish is a graduate of Brown University, undergraduate, and Brown University Medical School. She completed her family medicine residency at Georgetown University. She's an expert in the treatment of autoimmune disease, Lyme disease, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, among other chronic conditions. Dr. Cornish's approach to the treatment of chronic disease is to find the root cause of a person's health problems, and she performs a comprehensive evaluation of the body and the patient's lifestyle. Not only that, Dr. Cornish is a wife and mother of triplets.
Yeah. Who we just had to send out the studio.
They'll come back and maybe they can get a cameo later. But that's a huge testament to being able to stay healthy. If you can have a healthy, fully healthy pregnancy, 3 healthy babies. They are 3 years old now.
3 years old. And 3 years old and strong.
Yeah, yep. So very busy. So, they'll join us maybe a little later on. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Not only that she's a super professional, we happen to be friends and sorors.
That's right.
Little plug. So, take us on your journey to becoming a medical doctor.
Well, it's actually an interesting journey, Rukia, because when I started, I didn't know I was going to go into medicine. Yeah, I mean, we watched the Cosby Show growing up and Different World, and my mom had me really involved in extracurriculars. But I thought it would be more law. I used to tell my mom, I'm going to be the first black president of the United States.
Oh.
I said that from age 5 to probably 20. However, it was a summer program I went to, actually, in Bar Harbor, Maine, research. And the women there were like, the students were like, doctoring is great. And I was like, they're paid $500? I want to go to that program. They paid $500 for the entire summer. And I was hooked. I was hooked in science. And then I went to Brown, and they have an 8-year program from high school to medical school.
Really?
Yeah, so I went straight through, starting from undergrad all the way through to med school. So, hey, it was no turning back after that.
You were hooked ever since.
I was hooked.
Was it challenging?
It was, but I think the difference was I had that bridge. So with having that 8-year program, I was able to study abroad. I was able to work on Wall Street and do a lot of summer programs. So it made my undergrad experience a little more diverse because I already had that guarantee of medical school placement.
So you were able to just get in there, focus on your studies, and then you had your eye on the prize.
Exactly.
You just mentioned something about working on Wall Street.
Yeah.
How does that tie into medicine?
Well, and that's interesting because another thing that happened, I was going to study abroad. And all the people at Brown, a lot of the classmates I had were like, oh, you got to work at Merrill Lynch. They have this summer intern program. And, I could do that. So I applied for the program, had never read the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if I should tell viewers that. Didn't even know what an equity was, but that summer I got a job in equities. This was before 9/11.
Yes.
And it was a great way to learn about finance, to prepare my family for finance, and to, learn about those things, stocks and bonds. And it also was a great way to prepare me for saving so I could study abroad.
Yeah. Where did you go?
I went to London.
Nice.
So we traveled all over Europe that year. So it was great.
Wow.
It was great.
Well, you know what? You're just super smart. So everything and anything that you do, you're just super smart. You master it and then, make it happen.
I paid her a lot to say that.
You have to pay me more than that. So you did not always know that you wanted to be a doctor?
I did not. But like I said, from that experience, I was hooked. Because I was like, there's no turning back. Once I learned about medicine, learned about science, I was just intrigued. And I was like, I can do this. Yeah. And so, I always inspire others. Like, look, it doesn't matter what age you are. I wasn't that person at 3 who said, I want to be a medicine, I want to be a doctor. Yeah. But I found something that I was fascinated by. And I continued it for a lot of years.
Rising high, that's what we're all about.
That is.
That was, the dream that formed at some point, and then going beyond that. Yeah. So not only that you're a medical doctor, but you also incorporate natural and holistic alternatives, and you take in the whole body and heal.
Exactly.
So take us on that journey. You know what? Before we do that, let's come up with some definitions so we can describe the differences, so when we go forward, you'll know what we're talking about.
And we'll make it very simple. So allopathic is our traditional doctors. Your primary care, all of our doctors, allopathic, because what we do in our training is we learn the evidence, the research, and that's how we treat our patients. Versus, more of an integrative strategy or more functional medicine, I call us the good guys. Because we take it to the patient and to overall wellness and healing. And we don't use a lot of the things that we were taught in school. We don't prescribe a lot of the traditional prescriptions. We work more with prevention, how to get your body to heal itself. We learn about that. We also teach, supplement strategies, exercise importance.
Always.
And when you do have chronic disease, there is a need, of course, for both types of medicine.
Can we define chronic disease?
So chronic disease is anything that you've had over time.
Okay.
So in our community, in African American community, there are tons of health disparities like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, which African American women die from at higher rates than others. And what the thing is about these diseases is that when it's chronic, it's usually due to more than one factor. So it can be a genetic component, but also a lifestyle component.
Okay.
So what I always say is, genetics, you're predisposed. You can have something, but the lifestyle is going to make you more likely to develop those conditions. And my goal is to try to help change the lifestyle component, but also simultaneously treat the disease process naturally.
What part of the disease process can you say catch the disease before it becomes like full-blown problem?
And that's great question, because it's really important that we start at younger ages. But even if we have diagnosed, because in my family, my mom has several health conditions. So some people have chronic disease and it's kind of a little late stage. So you try as much as possible. Like I work with a lot of patients who have Alzheimer's, and at the Amen Clinic we have a memory program where we try to treat Alzheimer's and dementia naturally. So all conditions over time become chronic, but at each stage you can try to help that person like live better, use natural strategies, because there are a lot of herbals that treat natural conditions. Just like I said with Alzheimer's, there are herbals that can help with dementia. Like ginkgo, things that are easily, saw palmetto, ginkgo, B12, folate, vitamin D, things that are easily attainable but could have long-term benefits.
Are these things that you can start beforehand in the preventative stage? So you're just taking ginkgo maybe normally. If let's say you're studying and you're want to accelerate in your school, taking ginkgo, is that a healthy supplement?
Yes, definitely. And when it comes to brain healing, food is the best medicine. That is the key to wellness. I tell a lot of patients, you don't want to become a pharmacy. You don't want to become a supplement shelf, because you build up a lot of different things.
That's true.
But what you're eating is primarily your medicine. That's the first step.
So that smoothie that you might have in the morning, like a green smoothie, is more important than having like 1,000.
Exactly.
Because I'm a little guilty of that. When I'm like in a training cycle and I'm like running and I'm training for an event, I certainly do have like all of my vitamins and I do have a lot of stuff.
And I think it's necessary because I would much rather the vitamin supplement approach than having 20, 30 pharmaceutical medications because it's warranted. And so what I learned over the years is just being inspired by my husband eating naturally and seeing how he had been vegetarian for 30 years before we met. And even when we met, he was like, you know, I told him I was a doctor on date 3. I was like, yes, I'm impressive. I'm a doctor. He was like, I think you did a lot of drugs probably because you give a lot of pharmaceuticals. Yeah, I was primary care at the time. And, you know, I looked at him. This was date 3. And I said, I don't know if this is going to work.
You said, well, I'm a doctor. He's like, so you're a drug dealer?
And I said, well, maybe I am. You know, let me think about how I can change my scope of medicine. And so I was introduced to Dr. Seavey.
Yes.
And Dr. Africa.
Yes.
And all our natural healers.
Yes.
And it made sense.
Yes.
And I was like, I didn't
What about
learn
Queen
this.
Afua?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn this.
Did that change your whole perspective on your educational training, or was it something you were able to just like fill in?
I think it's a combination of both because my eyes were open that these are things we weren't trained on. You know, we don't do a lot of teaching on sauna benefits or Epsom salts, how they can help you with detox, or how important it might be to eliminate some of the toxic foods from your lifestyle. We don't get taught a lot of that in medical school. We're more diagnosing patients, treating them, giving them the right protocol per se, but not giving them that time. So the one thing that I learned from lifestyle perspective was, if I eat something wrong, I can feel it. And even with my children, you know, they're triplets, vegan, gluten-free, sugar. Yeah, they don't know any better yet.
Yeah. If the child doesn't have a taste for these things, then they're not even going to know what they're missing.
They don't.
But then they get a little sugar in their body and they're like, ooh, chocolate beans.
Yeah, and it's like one of the reasons why things like ADD, ADHD, autism, all those terms are so prevalent now because the food we are exposed to is much more toxic than those our parents or even our ancestors were exposed to because of all the chemicals, the Roundup, the gluten, the pesticides. So it just is a transition you have to make and a mental decision, but also everyone's realistic, everyone cheats. But you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference with how you feel.
Can you detox that out, though, if you have a little cheat meal? And can you just sort of detox that out and reset your body?
You can. And, I mean, it's a way of life. We're all human. So I just want to explain when we say that word detox, because that's such a catchy phrase. You know, detox. I'm going to do the keto detox. I'm going to do a 21-day detox. Detox is really a lifestyle thing that you can integrate every day. So something as simple as drinking a green smoothie every morning. You know, spinach, kale, apple,
avocado.
I'm
obsessed
delicious.
At the moment with avocado in my smoothies.
It takes 5 seconds. Put it in a little $15, you don't need a bullet, and you take a single serving smoothie and you're on your way. That's a form of detox. Going home, Epsom salt bath, that magnesium opening your pores, you're detoxing.
I didn't know that. As an athlete, I do plenty of Epsom salt just for sore muscles. Everyone usually thinks of Epsom salt that way, but I didn't realize that is detoxifying in the body. There is so much to talk about. This is amazing stuff. And then you just struck on the ADHD and the students, because I teach students as a special needs teacher. I see that a lot. So I want to come back. We're going to go on break, but when we come back, I do want to talk to you about reaching underserved communities, because this may not be looked upon as an affordable or attainable lifestyle, but we're going to talk about ways to reach all communities. So we are going to take a commercial break, and when we come back from commercial, we are going to finish up this conversation and get our health holistically together.
That's right.
Sports is what we do. It's the fast track at peak speed, moving across the ice, blockers, hitters, B-team, beatdowns, and knockouts, doubleheaders, playoffs, touchdowns, smackdowns, on the mat or on the track. The spirit of a champion. the triple double, make that double front flip. This is what we do.
And we are back with Dr. Ebony Cornish. We are having a discussion about holistic health and the whole journey. So before we went to break, we were talking about just sugars and chemicals and how it affects the body, and being a teacher of special needs students, particularly ADHD students. How does the diet impact students that, or children that may have particular diagnoses?
So what we find, because I treat a lot of children, and the first step I do, and I tell the patients, the parents, it's a lifestyle for the entire family. You need to do a challenge, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free challenge for your child to see how they respond. Because these foods are excitatory. They make you really nervous.
Yes.
The gut is really our second brain. So if you treat the gut well, it's like treating the brain well, and vice versa. So when they say things like you are what you eat, it's absolutely true. And I invite everyone, just do, when I see patients, do a 3 to 7 day detox of just removing gluten, processed food, fast food, some sugar, and dairy, and see the difference. Now, the first 3 days are hard, and that's what happens to all the kids.
Yes.
But once you make the withdrawal, and once they make it past that, they're paying attention, they're calmer, they're off Ritalin and all these other drugs you try to give these children, because you're changing what they're eating.
I like how you said challenge, because that's something that gets, thank you, that's something that gets the children to buy in.
Exactly.
Because when you try to talk to the families about changing your lifestyle, I remember even, in my childhood as a runner, I had a coach that he said, you're going to have to cut out candy and sugar, it's addictive and stuff like that. And it was like, oh no, we have to stop eating all this stuff. It was like, But I like the challenge because it's a popular thing, it's on social media, so really will challenge themselves. And when children put their mind to things, they respond faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's helpful. I'm bringing that. Taking notes, and I'm bringing some broccoli to work tomorrow.
That's important.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. So how does this work in your children's lives?
So as I said earlier, we pretty much restricted their diet, but it was based on the diet I had. When you hear, oh yeah, you're having unexpected 3 babies, and
Wait, they were unexpected?
Yes.
Oh,
you're like,
goodness.
oh, we have to change. So my whole process was concentrating on how to bring 3 healthy children in this world and not have intubations and complications, which by the grace of God we were able to do. But what it required was a lot of discipline. Yes. So during my pregnancy, I was vegan and I was gluten-free, and all the doctors advised against it because, oh, you need dairy, you need this and that, because they'll tell you those things. They came out completely healthy.
Absolutely.
No intubations.
Wow.
Right now they're bilingual, and they don't need it.
God bless
Because
you.
right now you can control it because they don't have jobs and they're not at school all day. And I tell that to all parents, you control what your children eat.
Absolutely.
And so people might make fun, oh, give them something pleasurable. But they're pleasurable because they're healthy and they're smart. And I know when they get something that they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Because they're all over.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Not with 3. Not with triplets, 3 of them at the same age. It's not like you have an older one that can help with the young one. Everyone is 3 years old and they're running all over the place.
But do I feel bad sometimes about them not having the things I had when I grew up? Kind of.
No.
Some days I'm like, well, I grew up on that, and I didn't turn out too bad, but I have 3.
Yeah.
And
At
they're
the same
fine.
age,
And they don't know any different.
What about when they grow up they get a little more savvy and they're like 6 or 7, they see their friends with a pack of fruit snacks and Skittles or something, and they're like, well, we have this broccoli snack.
Well, we're going to cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay. You can also
One step at a time.
You can have them read my book because I have some messaging in there about healthy eating, so hopefully, give a little impression on what it does for the body. We have great illustrations of like abs and 6-packs, so So
Exactly, and that's
always
important.
Yes, always time for a shameless plug for my book. So, I did want to ask you about people that are tired all the time. That's just like an all across the board, like American society. We work super hard. I know I'm tired all the time. I have a show, I have a book, I'm a teacher. You're a mom of triplets. How do we combat that? Is that considered a chronic problem? And how do you treat it?
So there is something called chronic fatigue. And, once we talk about the key to alternative medicine,
Yes.
is understanding the root cause of that problem. So when you just say, I'm tired, well, why are you tired? Is it because you're not sleeping at the same time every night? Is it because you haven't practiced mindfulness techniques to deal with your stressors? Are there foods that you might be eating that are causing you to feel drained? Are you having something underneath condition, like some health condition, a thyroid issue, which is responsible for metabolism, or something else that's plaguing you? So it's not as easy to just say, oh, I'm tired. I mean, of course, I have kids who wake up at night, and I have triplets. So that's a source. But that's what functional medicine does. We really try to figure out, well, why? My mom always said when I was a kid, but why? That's integrative functional medicine. The terms can be used interchangeably.
Got it.
Is finding out why. So if you're suffering from fatigue, because stress kills. I mean, stress causes everything.
Yes, it
You got to
does.
find out a way to balance it.
Yeah.
You do.
What if the stress just comes from work? I feel like like I said, the American lifestyle, we don't get 4 weeks of vacation. Other countries do have. They go on holiday, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, so on. Teachers get summers off, but I feel like teaching is also extremely, like you have 3 children. Imagine that times 10 with a teacher with 30 students in a classroom, and they're not all eating healthy. How do you
Well, I think it's important to put and to establish lifestyle techniques. And it seems easier said than done.
It is.
And we're all busy, and we're all tired, and we're all frustrated. I have tired days too. But what I remember is you have to find that peace. So if that means you take a prayer day, you have that prayer moment. If that means you just kind of count back from 10 because you're highly stressed. If that means you download an app, like a Calm app or Chill, something that can cause you to just take those 5 to 10 minutes out the day to just deep breathe. Because we have adrenaline. That's also a word called cortisol. And that keeps us revved up. But when it's too high, your body is concentrated so much at producing that adrenaline that you don't want to produce other things. You don't want to produce other hormones. You don't want to. That's when you're tired. So when people say that, they need to think about why, what that root cause is, and try to find some techniques to deal with it, because it's the way of life.
Yeah.
But those 5 to 10 minutes a day of mindfulness, that's 10 minutes out your whole life, out of your whole day.
But it'll make a difference and bring your energy levels back up.
Yeah, it will help you with that. And then, like we said, with the diet and the detox.
And then yoga also, because I've had guests on the show who are trained in yoga, and I've taken like a yoga course and been certified in that, and that is definitely something that brings your energy back up. It's movement, but it's also moving that energy back where it replenishes you.
Yeah, because we can't change our life circumstance. I can't write someone a prescription just to remove your family. Or to quit your job. I can't do that. But what I can do is offer ways to help cope with what it is you're dealing with.
What are some supplements that will help? I don't know if you've, ashwagandha was
Oh,
something
God, that's wonderful.
What is in that? That helps me. I put that in my coffee and I feel like $1 million in mental
So
clarity.
that's a plant-based supplement that helps that cortisol level we just discussed. Yeah.
Now that makes sense,
So-
because as an athlete, there's always adrenaline. I'm used to that rush of something
Exactly.
starting.
Yeah, and so there are numerous supplements. I mean, it's a long list that help you with energy. But ashwagandha is a great one. Sometimes it's interesting. There are some supplements that actually include, and this might sound different, the ingredient called adrenals from animals. So what we have, an adrenal, is what gives us that cortisol. We don't want to make it too technical.
Right.
But you can take supplements that'll actually boost that directly.
Oh.
And so that's people who are like really drained
Yeah.
and tired. But then more importantly, is making sure you do the primary care things, like what's going on with your hormones, making sure you're resting, because those are things people get sleep and they're not getting restorative sleep.
Yes,
or they're having
absolutely.
snoring.
Yes.
So it could be apnea. So it's little things like that that I see, because I see a ton of patients, oh, I'm so tired, and they come to my office, I'm like, it's apnea. You know, like you need to get a sleep study.
So there are tests that you do to figure out and pinpoint what could be the cause of this tiredness? It comes
Of
from different
course.
places.
So whenever I'm evaluating a person, because I take an hour and a half with all new patients at my office, I make sure that I look at their lifestyle. I have questions. Okay, what are you doing? How well are you sleeping? Have you had any chronic infections? Do you have any health conditions? So we look at all that. And then that helps me get an individualized treatment approach to that patient. Because it's so easy. It's like dizzy. Oh, I'm dizzy. That's just a broad health term. But you really got to do it's a detective work you have to do.
Makes
They
sense.
call me the detective.
Dr. Detective. Stethoscope.
Exactly.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is that how can we make this affordable for all communities? I know this is something that's considered to be probably too expensive to eat a certain way, or probably too expensive. Does my insurance cover this? So how do we make this accessible for all communities?
Well, I do spend time with an organization called Integrative Medicine for the Underserved. So they look at ways to try to make this more affordable, because unfortunately, a lot of doctors who spend an hour and a half with patients or longer don't get the right reimbursement from insurance programs. But when people tell me it's too expensive, I'm like, you can buy frozen veggies. You can buy frozen fruit. That's less expensive than down the line you taking 8, 9 pharmaceutical medications and having to see your doctor on a regular basis. It takes those small steps. You can go to Popeyes, get a bucket, but you can also get a bucket of fruits and vegetables for cheaper and make stir fry or make, healthy, lean choices. So it's really, you have to think about, it's not, oh yeah, I got to go to Whole Foods to eat healthy.
Right.
Because Whole Foods sometimes is a little expensive. Whole paycheck is what I used to You can find these things at Giant. You can find these things at Food Lion, at Walmart, but it's just taking that approach and looking at it like, I want to make this commitment. Everybody can afford that.
Okay, that's good to know. This small changes, small adjustments. Some people, I did have a conversation with a lady earlier. She just did everything cold turkey, but it is about having that commitment and wanting to, do better. Can you give me a quick rundown on the alternative medicine approach?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, you start with kind of prevention.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing today. I'm hoping I leave you with some tips to prevent the onset of chronic illness. And then you want to make sure you do some, like I said, the detective work.
Yeah.
Finding out that root cause. Is it the hormones? Is it the sleep pattern? Is it chronic infection? Is it the diet? Because like I said, we're going to reiterate, food is your medicine.
And exercise.
Definitely lifestyle.
Lifestyle,
Exercise is very, very important, but not everyone can do that. The people might have issues. So I say, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes a day, walk. Breathing. That's exercise. So then we want to make sure we get down to that kind of deep root cause.
Yes.
Because people always want to get healthy, but you got to find out the root cause of that problem, treat that, and then you're on to healthy wellness.
Amazing. There's so much that we can talk about. That we have some water here and alkaline water, keeping the body
There
alkaline.
you go.
There's really a lot of things that we can unfold, but you know what? I'm going to invite you back to the show for a part 2. This is a great time to also reach out and email us if you have questions for Dr. Ebony, and just grow your healthness. So we're wishing you lots of health and wellness and taking initiative, especially going into the spring summer season.
Exactly. And this is
a good time.
2020. Clear vision
Clear vision.
for your health, 2020.
That's right. You heard it here first. So hopefully when you buckle on your seatbelts, you learned as much as you can. You can always replay the show. Please, if you love this show and you learned a lot, please hit the share button. Share this, share. Go right on your phone right now and share this to your networks, because this is super important, especially for our communities, that we do have the practitioners here. We have the information. We have the knowledge. It's just about really being into it and going for it and making those changes. So again, I want to thank you, Dr. Cornish, for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to part 2.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Looking forward to it, too. And now I'm going to have my green smoothie tomorrow.
All right, you too.
That's right. Share the show. Assignments for you. Share the show and have a green smoothie.
That's right.
Please tell our audience and viewers how they can find you.
Well, I work at the Amen Clinic in Reston, Virginia, and you can find me there. I have Facebook groups. My information is behind us right now, and that's how you can find me. But leave today not only looking for me, but looking out for yourselves.
Yes.
Green smoothie, frozen veggies, go start now.
Share the show. Share the message.
Share the message. It's simple.
Very simple and beneficial, and you'll feel great for it. So I want to thank you for joining us today at Rising High Show. You can find me across all of my social networks on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. It's Rising High Show across all social media networks. And any questions, any sponsorships, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, email us at risinghighshow@gmail.com. I want you to continue to keep rising high to good health. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Rising High with Dr. Ware. Welcome to the show, where we inspire you to rise high,